how can we always do what works and make the right choice? So in life we often struggle to differentiate between what is right and what is wrong. But here is the key. It's not about always knowing what's right, also because it's something entirely subjective. It's about how we relate to things, because how we relate to things is what changes entirely everything. So it's what makes the difference. So the truth is that events in our lives have already been decided in a way, and everything happens eternally, repeating itself over and over again. And in fact, everything happens now. So you may have heard this idea before. It's not new, that writers like Luis Borges have spoken about it. Is everything happens right now. So we live in what is called eternal time, where the origins of times and events repeat themselves eternally, and it's like a paradox, but it's in truth many spiritual traditions have known this for centuries. And so everything is already decided in the event that has already happened. Then how do we have a say in what happens next? How do we choose? Well, we don't control the events themselves, but we can choose how we relate to the events, to the happenings in our life. And it's the divine that we are always in a relationship with. The event that unfolds before us is not just something that happens. It's a spirit, a God guiding the flow of life. Now our mind, in its usual manner, convinces us that we have control over everything. It tells us that the event, the reality we experience, is a product of our minds that is coming, that we create the event. But the mind creates the events, so it's always the ego at work from that perspective. And if we think with the heart, if we begin with the perspective of the universe, the whole, rather than the I, the ego, then we realize the event depends on so much more than our individual mind, and it's influenced, of course, by the stars, the planets, the energy that is created by the trees in nature. So the idea that we control events is a kind of an illusion. So how can we always do the right thing again if we can't control everything? It's the event, what's happening in our life, it's always a manifestation of the divine force. It's neither right nor wrong, but what we can choose, what we can control is how we stand in relation to that event, how we decide to react or relate ourselves to what is happening around us, and that is changing everything. Just simply becoming an observer by watching, we change the outcome of the event. Because we change the reaction that we are having when something is coming in our life. Because of course we cannot change the external conditions, but we can change how we relate to these external conditions. And if we become grounded, if we become a stable point that somehow never changes, even if of course then in life everything changes, then we become a point of reference that is more stable, instead of moving around, turning, and always being at disposal of the elements that are moving around us, which are unstable, and that depends on millions of other elements, like in a puzzle. It depends on millions of other conditions and causes that rotate around us. So if we consider ourselves that we always need to wait for something around us to happen in order to make a decision, a proper decision, we will never make any decision at all in our life. If we become stable and we become grounded and we become the point of decision, still then being movable, still then floating with the change and the element of impermanence around ourselves, then all the things around us align, because we become the solid, stable tree, point of reference of our life.